Good day, everyone. My name is Lord Clayton Garcia I, and I am going to report CA Module 4. The first topic is institutional-based corrections, and this topic was tackled during the Module 1 discussion, and basically it means that you are correct when you are committing a crime, you are corrected and you are put into a jail or prison. Examples of institutional-based corrections. Examples of institutional-based corrections are prisons and jails. And jail. Jails are short-term holding facilities for the newly arrested and those awaiting trial or sentencing. Usually, these are for those convicts that they are kanagay na priso sila within a few months lang or weeks. They are put into jail. Prison. Prison are state or federal housing facilities that confine convicted felons with sentences typically longer than a year. So usually katunaning mga grabe nga crimes ang ilang gipang confine. And katong mga those convicts nga ang ilang sentencing periods is maabot ng more than a year. And the difference between the two is that jail can be used to describe as a place for those awaiting trial or held for minor crimes. So usually, ang jail is for minor crimes. And ang prison is kanang pangdagko na jud, panggrabe nga crimes, panggrabe nga cases, itong maabot na pila ka years ang ilahang sentences. Two system-based approaches of corrections. Two corrections. Correctional population fall into two general categories and mautong ganiya. Ang una, institutional corrections, and sunod is community corrections, community-based corrections. And nakabulong ta nga institutional-based corrections is kanang makakommit ka crime and you are put into jail. And community corrections, the supervision of criminal offenders in the resident population as opposed to confining offenders in secure correctional facilities. The two main types of community corrections supervision are probation and parole. And basically ang pasabot sa community-based corrections is mauni sila ang kanaganing you are corrected but you are not put into a secured facility like jails or prison. And na two types ang community corrections, and these are probation and parole. Probation. Probation is a sanction that has been ordered by the court system. A person is put on this when they found guilty of committing a crime. Probation lets a person stay in their community so as long as they being supervised by a probation officer. However, this is not an option for every single offense. Some offenders go to jail or prison without having the offer of probation on the table. So magdepende lang ni siya kay naay ubang offenders nga or kanang offense nga dili ma-fall ani nga klase of corrections. The two types of probation. Number one, serving time in jail and then being put on probation after completing jail time. Often the time in jail is shortened because the offender will be on probation. Number two, going on probation instead of going to jail. As long as probation is completed successfully, the offender can skip their jail time. Next is parole. Parole is the early conditional release of a convicted offenders from state prison after they have served part of a sentence. It allows inmates to return to their community to serve the remainder of their sentence under the supervision of a parole officer. Parole officers develop a supervision plan and evaluate the parolee's progress. They will intervene if the parolee's behavior poses a threat to the community. Parolees must be careful not to break the law, as parole violations can have serious consequences. Individuals under parole have restricted rights, so maras ra gyapon. Bisan if they are on parole, they are restricted dili jud pareha sa kanang normal individual nga dili sila restricted in in exchange for the privilege of being released from prison. The court expects parolees to follow a number of rules known as conditions of parole. Again, community corrections is also referred to as community supervision. You are supervised in the community. And the difference between the two correctional, I mean the two, meaning institutional correction and community-based corrections, is ang kalayan na dyan nila para makasabot yung maayo is ang institutional based corrections is mapreso ka, masulod ka sa jail, ibutan ka sa jail. And ang community based corrections is you will serve your jail sentence anang gawas sa prisuan. And ang community based corrections is na siya two types, which is ang parole ug ang probation. The next topic is the Bureau of Corrections. The Republic Act number 10575 is an act strengthening the Bureau of Corrections or BUCOR and providing funds therefore. This act shall be known as the Bureau of Corrections Act of 2013. It is the policy of the state to promote the general welfare and safeguard the basic rights of every prisoner incarcerated in our national penitentiary. So, kani siya nga policy or kani siya nga bureau is kanaganing mga protektaran pod ang mga prisoners pa. Next, custody. The legal right or duty to care for someone or something, especially a child, after its parents have separated or died. Muna siya meaning sa custody. Kanang naa kay legal rights to ay kanang mo care for someone or something. Security and control of prisoners. The prison security is crucial to maintaining staff and inmate safety in a correctional setting. Security in prisons includes, but it is not limited to managing restrictive housing populations, classification and assessment, managing special populations, and security audits. Ang kani nga topic is gani ang unsa ang pagpamalakad sa sulod sa usa ka prisuhan ang ilang prison security, and it plays a crucial role para ma-maintain ang safety sa sulod sa prisuhan. Prison staffing analysis. Capitalize on staff strengths and abilities by using the right people in the right positions at the right times. This 32-hour program explores several methodologies for assessing current staffing levels and determining staffing requirements. By the end of the training, participants will be able to plan, modify, and implement staffing operations in their own facility. So training siya, and this will help kanang ang usa ka prison nga mas makusgan ang iyahang security and control. Care and treatment of prisoners. All prisoners shall be treated with the respect due to their inherent dignity and value as human beings. There shall be no discrimination on the grounds of race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. It is, however, desirable to respect the religious beliefs and cultural percepts of the group to which prisoners belong whenever local conditions so required. The responsibility of prison for the custody of prisoners and for the protection of society against crime shall be discharged in keeping with a state's other social objectives and its fundamental responsibilities for promoting the well-being and development of all members of the society. All prisoners shall have the right to take part in cultural activities and education aimed to the full development of the human personality. Efforts addressed to the abolition of solitary confinement as a punishment or to the restriction of its use should be undertaken and encouraged. Conditions shall be created enabling prisoners to undertake meaningful remunerated employment which will facilitate their reintegration into the country's labor market and permit them to contribute to their own financial support and to that of their families. Prisoners shall have access to the health services available in the country without discrimination on the grounds of their legal situation. With the participation and help of the community and social institutions, and with due regard to the interests of victims, favorable conditions shall be created for the reintegration of the ex-prisoner into society under best possible conditions. So, usually, kaning care and treatment sa prisoners, usually manggod ang prisoners is ang panglantos mga tao nila is negative and they are dangerous. So, dili na sila marag i-disregard na sila sa society or sa ubang tao nga dili sila mahatagan og saktong treatment and care. And kani siya nga topic is i-discuss kung angay jud di ay dapat jud nga alagaan o i-treat og maayo ang mga prisoners and you cannot judge them. Release of prisoners. The immediate moment of release from prison has been identified by researchers in the United States as a critical point in the reintegration process. Why critical point? Because ang pag-release manggod sa usa ka prisoner is ang kanaganing 50-50 or kanang delikado because you will not know if makumit ba siya usog or unsa because practically speaking criminal man na siya and he has the possibility to commit another crime. Upon release from prison, the victim is likely to transcend his aggressive sexual attitude to raping other members of the community in an attempt to regain his manhood. Next topic, Good Conduct Time Allowance or GCTA. Republic Act 10592 or the Good Conduct Time Allowance law allows for a reduction of sentences of persons deprived of liberty depending on how well they abide by rules and reputation inside any penal institution, rehabilitation or detention center or any other local jail. This law, in relation to Republic Act 7659 or death penalty law, reportedly does not cover PDL who have been convicted of heinous crimes as enumerated in RA 7659. So ang mga tao or ang mga convicts nga under aning mga kanina mga death penalty is dili sila pwede ma-cover ani nga law. These crimes were considered punishable by death for being grievous, odious, and hateful offenses and which, by reason of their inherent or manifest wickedness, viciousness, atrocity, and perversity, are repugnant and outrageous to the common standards and norms of decency and morality. Mo na ang reason why dili sila pwede ma-appeal sa ani nga law. Prohibited acts subject to disciplinary actions. The disciplinary regime establishes the rules of prison life by listing breaches of the internal regulations and the sanction associated with these. The existence of disciplinary procedures is essential to both the maintenance of order within the prison establishments and the respect for the basic human rights of persons deprived of liberty. Detainees must be familiar with the disciplinary rules and these must be respected by prison authorities. Sanctions for each offense must be provided in law. Recourse to disciplinary sanctions must be a last resort, and detainees must see that their right to fair treatment is respected. Disciplinary sanctions, which resemble forms of ill treatment, as well as those arising from any kind of discrimination, are forbidden. So kani nga topic is nag-explain siya kana ganing unsay mga bawal sa sulod sa detention center or prison. The next topic is BGMP. BGMP or Republic Act 6975. Republic Act number 6975 on December 13, 1990 is an act establishing the Philippine National Police under a reorganized Department of the Interior and Local Government and for other purposes. This act shall be known as the Department of the Interior and Local Government Act of 1990. Republic Act 9263 on March 10, 2004 is an act providing for the professionalization of the Bureau of Fire Correction and the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, amending certain provisions of Republic Act number 6975, providing funds thereof and for other purposes. Treatment of special needs or unusual offenders. Most prisoners with special needs face discrimination in the criminal justice system on the basis of their birth, nationality, ethnicity, race, descent, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, age, disability, and health conditions. So, kuan na dya po ang mga detainees nga naay mga special needs like mga PWD or kanang mga naay mga Down syndrome or mga kanang mga abnormalities, and dapat dili sila i-discriminate sa sulod sa detention center or kanang prison. Emergency plans. An emergency plan specifies procedures for handling sudden or unexpected situations. The objective is to be prepared to prevent fatalities and injuries, reduce damage to buildings, stock, and equipment, protect the environment and the community, accelerate the resumption of normal operations. So, ang emergency plan is this is only for kanang in case of kanang naay mahitabo nga emergency or kanang mga accidents, mga mahitabo, and naa sila emergency plan which will help kanang to address the kanang pangitabo, the event. Where appropriate, other organizations should also be consulted, especially when your organization's plan involves using outside resources such as fire, police or ambulance. In some situations, one organization may develop shared response teams with neighboring organizations. In all situations, communication, training, and periodic drills will help make sure the plan is executed well. So, kaning emergency plan is dapat po siya nga kailangan siya constant training in order for the plan to ma-execute siya o maayo nga walay sayo para hapsay ang agi. In some cases, other authorities may have jurisdiction, such as if a serious injury or fatality occurred. Your organization should establish, implement, and maintain a procedure to coordinate managing incident with the authority having jurisdiction. An example given: police, OH&S, inspectors, and etc. This coordination may include the authority taking control of the incident. So, if gani is mga serious na jud nga pangitabo, is pwede na ka makatawag og help for other organizations like or bang magpatabang ra kanila, matawag kanila so that they will take over movement, transfer of prisoners or detainees. Prisoners may be transferred from one prison to another for a number of reasons. It can be very difficult to get a transfer, as 78 out of 130 prisons are overcrowded at the moment. So may tabo ra ni siya if kana ganing overcrowded na ang prison and kailangan na sila mo pagawas og prisoners and ibalin sa laing facilities or na other reasons. Like, ang usa ka prisoner is kanang nabully na siya maayo dito, di na siya comfortable dito kay sige na siya gi-abuse. There is no automatic right to be in a prison that you choose. The law says that someone can be held in any suitable prison. However, the prison services should consider circumstances so that people are encouraged to maintain family ties where possible. The most common reason for transfer are because someone's security categories has changed or for some sentence progression. The prison service also has a duty of care if you are experiencing serious difficulties with other prisoners. People may be moved if prison staff are concerned about their safety or believe they are at risk from other prisoners. Next topic: privileges of detainees and sentence prisoners. Prisoner privileges are rights. The rights are guaranteed to all prisoners, but access to many prison privileges is based on behavior. So magbase lang gyapon siya ang imuhang behavior o if ang imuhang behavior is maayo ba o dili. Inmates with a history of infractions may be confined to their cells for longer periods of time during the day, or they may be forced to wear prison uniforms while other inmates can wear their own clothes. Other common privileges include access to entertainment, work, and money. Many prisons have televisions in common areas, but some inmates may have one in their cells to pass the time, depending on the status of their imprisonment. They may be also allowed to work. The Regional Rehabilitation Centers for Youth, mga batanon. The RRCY is a facility designed to provide intensive treatment in a residential setting for the rehabilitation of CICL whose sentences have been suspended. It serves as a nurturing out-of-home placement for children in need of rehabilitation. So usually kato ni mga bata gani nga mga layaw. While the RRCY provides the institutional rehabilitation for CICL, community-based rehabilitation programs are also being provided by the DSWD. So usually ang DSWD ang mo-provide aning mga programs sa pag-rehabilitate sa mga batanon or kanang mga below 18 gani. Whenever necessary, the RRCY links its center-based service to community-based programs or programs provided in a community setting developed for the purpose of intervention and diversion from formal court proceedings, as well as rehabilitation of the CICL for final reintegration into his family and community. So ayon sila rehabilitate hantod nga mabalik na sila sa community or if possible sa ilang family. The Child and Youth Welfare Code. The Presidential Decree Number 603, otherwise known as the Child and Youth Welfare Code, and issued in December 1974, legally defines special categories of youths, including youthful offenders, and direct the Ministry of Social Services and Development, or MSSD, to provide comprehensive services to assist in youth development. So this is for kanang mga youth or kanang mga bata nga kanang i-develop ang ilahang kanang understandings. Even before this decree, the MSSD had implemented an integrated human resource development program for youth, IHRDPY, encompassing 3 program areas: economic self-sufficiency, community responsibilities, and youth with special needs. The next is the death row. Around 2,500 prisoners currently face execution in the United States alone. The national death row population has declined for over 20 consecutive years as sentence reversals, executions, and deaths by other causes of outpacing new death sentences. The death penalty is the ultimate cruel, inhuman, and degrading punishment. Nganong gitawag siya cruel because this is kanaganing ang punishment sa usa ka convict is death. The last topic is the rule on the writ of amparo. The petition for a writ of amparo is a remedy available to any person whose right to life, liberty, and security is violated or threatened with violation by an unlawful act or omission of a public official or employee or of a private individual or entity. So usually sa mga kuan sila ganang mga tao nga kana ganing naanay mga kuan sa tawag nila na sila status like kana mga employees, officials, may nana ba. The writ shall cover extra legal killings and enforce disappearance of threats thereof. And that is the end of my topic. Thank you.